Welcome, Reign fans. A bittersweet after show here on AfterBuzz TV. But to help us get through it as we wrap up this amazing series, we have a ton of guests, so stay tuned as we do the final after show.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Just to quickly introduce the panel, we have Lena Laurie. Just say hi.
Well, because you have to refer to my proper name. It's Queen Lena Nori.
Okay.
And you can find me on Twitter at Lena Nori _.
And we have Mole's sister, Alina Vission.
That's right. The other Lena. Hey, what's up, guys? You can find me on all social media at Alina Vission.
And one of the OGs, Keetin Marchi.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you can find me all over the interwebs at Keetin Marchi.
And a bunch of people who need no introduction, but we will introduce them nonetheless. I mean, where do we even start? We have the poor Gideon.
King Gideon.
King Gideon.
King of England and Scotland, to be exact.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we
and
have
France sometimes.
England, Scotland, and France. We got all
we have
three.
the one and only serpent Narcisse.
Yes.
And our queen, we bow down to you.
We bow.
Oh, man. So much to talk about. For those of you guys joining us, unlike our normal after shows, we're gonna meander any which way. We're gonna let this take shape, and so just bear with us. We're gonna have a lot of good stuff to uncover. But before we start with you guys, I know everyone's dying. We're dying to talk to you guys, but I want to get your guys' reactions to the finale. Just quick thoughts.
Here we go.
Sure.
Okay, quick thoughts on the finale. It just made me that much more sad that it got canceled when it did, because I felt like there was so much more story to tell, and I just felt like this season was so awesome, and like the show, every single character I was so full on with, and I just loved it. And then they kind of gave us these little cliffhangers of like these new little stories that we're starting, and then they're like, fast forward 21 years, and then the queen is gone, and I was like, and no one's there, like, to be there for you? What the heck? And I know that's how it happened in history, minus the fast forwarding, but there were so many stories that I still really, really wanted to see, and so I'm just really sad, but I think you guys did such a wonderful job, and it was just, I don't know what I'm gonna do now that the show is gone, and I'm still waiting for a network to kind of pick it up and like be like, no, we're gonna stream this. We'll just rewind.
Just watch it again. Start again.
And Mary's gonna come back from the dead to haunt everybody.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Alina?
yeah. I kind of feel like how Keetin did. I absolutely loved the season finale. Now, after speaking to Drew Lindo, who was in here last week, we love Drew, and he told us about the whole story, how you guys actually had to film 2 alternate endings. So it made sense now seeing the ending that you guys, got the word of the cancellation, and I thought they did a really good job in tying up, especially Mary's story, because this whole series was about Mary's story, but I did love the opening endings in, France. so many. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, I'm looking at you. You could pick this up, definitely. But I thought you guys did an amazing, amazing job, and I feel like her. I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? Go read history books, I guess.
Go outside and play.
Yeah. I love that.
Go and play. Climb trees. Turn the TV off. What's outside?
There you go.
Yeah.
So for me, the season finale, without a doubt, was like the best moment for me. I've been on this after show now. I think this is the 5th episode.
When they died?
When that show ended, it was the best moment.
No,
Best moment of my life.
I've been on this after show for 5 episodes, and every episode, everyone thinks I'm crazy because I was like, they need to bring Francis back.
Oh,
And
yeah.
especially when I found out the show was getting canceled on the episode when we had Drew, I said, as a viewer, as someone that I lived the journey with love with you, and so many people have, millions of people struggle with love and happiness, and when that ending just came, and I commend you guys as actors, I commend the writers, that given such a terrible situation, I mean, you guys were virtually robbed of like a whole season. And
Or
even
2.
I mean, you said it.
No, yeah. And I mean, even I was talking to, we were talking about this earlier, even Bash, or Torrance.
Torrance,
He
yeah.
actually had tweeted that he felt that he wishes he at least would have been included in the season or not have just been a flashback. So the fact that you guys took such a terrible situation, at least come together, put such an incredible season finale, like, I honestly cried, and I'm being very honest. Maybe it's because I'm in a emotional place myself, but seeing you, given the fact that you're killed and you still get your happy ending, and seeing you just continue your love for Lola, and you just being a badass that you are,
Just died.
bagging 2 queens. Who can bag 2 queens before they die? The season finale was what we needed. It was what viewers needed. I feel like that was the only way to make amends for the show getting canceled, is having an ending like that.
I want to start with there because, so much has been made about kind of shooting this alternate version, right? And I was shocked to see an interview with Laurie, the showrunner, talking about that you guys had filmed that prior in the past season. And so can you speak to that? Because I thought that's what you guys would have shot as an alternate ending.
No. We were always intending to end the show eventually with Mary's beheading, and then do a flashback montage to her meeting Francis in the theoretical afterlife. So when Toby's character died, as he did in real life, we actually were always intending to have that be the end of the series, no matter what season we ended on. So we shot that before he completely wrapped up and went back to London. So we shot that at the end of midway through season 3.
When I started, it was like episode
midway
5,
through season 3.
Season 3,
Yeah, and that was actually his last day working on the show. It was us working on second unit out at a farm where we shot a lot of stuff, doing that sort of like heaven montage stuff.
That's
So
sad.
which worked really well.
It
That,
did.
like
It
that,
did. Yeah.
the
It was really
chop and then cut to
beautiful.
that in the bed.
Really beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Really
I mean,
beautiful. Yeah, it was
I thought it was really beautiful, and a lot of the fans have forever been really invested in like Frary and Frary being endgame, and Mary Queen of Scots, before she passed, she always remembered Francis as like her first love and her greatest love, and she wrote letters to that effect. So I think it was, not only a beautiful way to wrap up the show for the fans, but also to like give homage to that relationship, both in the show and historically speaking. Like it was.
So I still kind of wanted there to be a quick cut to other rooms where Conde's waiting. Going, shit, it wasn't me. Toby got it.
Here's kind of a joking
running for a
question.
field by themselves.
And all of them just holding hands.
No, they found other true loves. They thought
Good.
I was a true love, but I wasn't, because it was Francis, and they found other true loves. That's how.
Or you go to Toby. Thanks, hon. Lovely to see you. I've just got to pop and see the other boys.
He's like,
And then I'll come back.
summer husband.
Well, Ben, here's a question for you. Who, if when Queen Elizabeth dies,
yeah.
are you the one that she's having flashbacks?
It's not of course, I would have thought so.
Okay.
But then there was also Dudley
Definitely.
as well, because I mean, in history, Dudley was
Dudley's
the,
story,
Dudley was
right.
the big one, but yeah,
In our story.
in our story, it was.
You know what's funny? I've always said that Gideon was the pimp with the 2 queens, but Mary's really the one that's got all the good-looking guys just running after her.
Yeah, I mean, the crown helps.
Everybody.
The crown
Elizabeth has a crown.
really helps. Yeah, and she's got men running after her as
Elizabeth
well.
had people.
But she's not down for that married life, so I think she probably scares off any of the sort of more weak-hearted suitors. Whereas Mary's like, sure, why not? Roll up, take a number. It's,
You're like Hugh Hefner, aren't you? You've got your entourage.
yeah, and I always seem to hook up with them before the wedding, which is a bit shady.
Well, you want to make sure you're getting the right goods.
You gotta test out the
You gotta test the
goods.
goods before you.
Gotta give it a test
Hello?
drive before you commit to that, year-long lease at this
You
point.
have to,
That's all she ever,
right?
that's all she ever seems to manage.
Speaking of kind of all the things that historically happened with Mary, how much research did you do yourself when you got this role? And was it a continuous thing of constantly researching, or did you just kind of have like a serious study session before you started filming? Or
I did a big study session before we started filming because, everyone's a critic and I wasn't going to make everybody happy with my portrayal of Mary Queen of Scots. So I just wanted to educate myself on her and then take a bit of what I learned and then utilize what the show gave me and sort of mush them together to give my own take, because, you can try and adhere really faithfully to like a historical portrayal, or you can try and adhere really faithfully to the script. Either way, you're going to piss people off. So I was like, I'm just going to take a bit of both and then see what comes out.
And I guess if you guys can answer the question as well. I mean, you don't necessarily have a particular character that you're 100% pulling from, but just was there and various bits and pieces of history that you borrowed from.
Well, for me personally, like I started the show in the 3rd season, so I did research the era, but what was actually more beneficial, because I wasn't like a real historical character, but what was more beneficial was actually researching the show, like watching the tone of the show, and because it's got its own thing, the Tudors had that thing, and then Reign's got its sort of thing, and it's quite distinctive, and also interestingly finishing that and trying to audition for new stuff. All of a sudden, I'm trying to be a normal person on the streets of Adelaide. I'm going, "Hello, how are you?" It's kind of, you've got to sort of break that out of your system as well. So, so for me, it was the show more so than history.
Yeah, because I think when we had the freedom of not being real people, so they could kill us, but we could live, which was always a good thing. If you play a real person who's definitely going to die, you're screwed. Yeah.
Well, you outlived everybody.
Yeah, and but it is that thing of, because I hadn't seen the show when I got the job, and very quickly went, Christ, I did it. And it's about kind of, rather than discovering the historical, you're discovering the world of the play, the world of the show. So they gave me a zip drive of 22 episodes for the first season. And
whoa!
Yeah, and I had a week before we started shooting up and I just started watching it. I thought it was going to be, forgive me, I went, CW show, it's going to be.
No, it's all right.
It's okay.
It's going to be teenagers. And I started watching going, oh yeah, it's young people being pretty
Young
and in love.
people.
And then the story hooks you in, and I'm sitting up in the hotel room every night going, just one more.
Are you still watching? Yes.
What hooked you?
It probably was a couple of eps in, and just it's
First couple of eps, we took a minute to gain our momentum
and
and
everyone's setting up the world, and I think that's with most shows. This is why I love stream shows, dump shows, because you can actually go through 3 episodes in an evening and then get to the hook.
Well, they say it takes 3 episodes.
Yeah.
They say it's if
Because
you're going to start a new
setting
show, you need to
up.
give it at least 3 episodes.
And then this suddenly basically it's a family drama. It's you guys. It happens to be a castle, but
It's the Sopranos.
dysfunctional. Yeah, it's Sopranos, or it's Addams Family, or it's.
I always ask for Jerry Springer.
Jerry.
Maybe Jerry Springer will pick up season 5.
Somebody in the chat is asking you guys all
Hello.
who would you say are, let me give them a shout out really quick. Not Done Abusing You is asking you guys, what do you think
I recognize that handle.
what do you think Catherine's heaven would be? Before we move on from that, would it be all her children?
The Scotsman.
Oh, the Scotsman.
The Scotsman.
The Scotsman. No, it'd be all of her children who are all beautifully behaved and not insane, doing everything she asks them to, and then buggering off to their own castles when she gets sick of them.
Sounds good.
Kind of. I wanted to ask you, since we have the opportunity to have both of you guys in the room, talking about the Frey relationship. Gideon is sort of the next relationship that's serious to Mary, and how did you guys actually approach that? And perhaps not even just acting wise, but knowing fan wise, ooh, how do we make this work where fans aren't?
You can't think about it. You just have to just go for it, and then if it works, it works.
And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
I die early.
Yeah.
That's kind of true.
It sort of works. Maybe.
Did you both sign on as recurring roles when you got your roles, or were you guest starring?
For me,
Yeah.
Initially it's just sort of we'll just tread the water and see if it's going to work out. Yeah,
What was it for you?
Yeah, you sign on for 3.
Okay.
And then they take up the option.
Which gives you both that, you can go, I hate this, I'm getting out of here. Or they can hate you, and then after the 3, you make the leap. But, which is kind of great for both angles, because you don't want to end up, doing 6 years of a show you hate.
True.
No.
Yeah.
So we have Spencer, who plays Charles, coming on in a few.
Spencer!
But from your because one of the big storylines, and we have to talk about that promiscuous scene with you and how that was. So we definitely will.
Someone you please, like...
Hey now.
Three's
Which
Company
one?
with a witch.
What's that?
The witch scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Crazy
Yeah,
witch
it's a
scene.
menage a
Look,
trois.
it's
Dark magic.
and this is this is not sucking up to the network. Also, everyone sort of talks about it being cancelled. It was the end of the season, and every season we've finished, we haven't known we're going to do another. We've hoped, and there's been intention, but in a way, the show ended. It just didn't get picked up. So, but the assumption was it was going to, and we were all hoping that. So, there was maybe an eight episode season to come, possibly.
Yeah,
if
just
the intention was.
like enough to slow things down a little and
Yeah,
just cover a bit more ground, because once Mary's incarcerated, everything gets a bit boring. She's just shuffled from castle to castle, writing letters, and you're weeping in hallways.
And I think for French Court, that it was the setup of Margot and the whole, the St. Bartholomew's massacre, and I think you know that right, yeah. So it was, this wonderful actress who we saw right at the end, who's going to play Margot. She was, set to come and join the show.
And Richard Fleischman too.
And Richard, yeah, who's fabulous. And the witch scene, I don't quite get what it was, but I kind of think we were going to have an Antichrist. I think
Kinda seemed
possibly
like
it was going to be the demonic spawn of somehow in that. There is, okay, I'm going to...
Narcisse father is the
Dash
Antichrist.
coming back, because he was sort of in that
Yeah,
world,
because there's the whole
wasn't
simulation, but there is a bit that was cut, because we thought they'd just cut that scene out, because it makes...
No sense.
Makes
Like,
sense.
we were talking about what scene was that? What was the point of
Yeah,
it?
but I got to do a threesome with a witch, and so it's fine. And, but there was a little bit they cut out, because they just realised they needed this to, from what we'd shot, they had to use this scene, and they were trying to find ways to kind of, avoid it. But there is a little moment before I run off going, I'm going to be sick, which is, he's got to harden up, that guy. But there is a moment where Megan's character, Catherine, goes, Narcisse, she's trying to get pregnant. And I go, ugh. And then she goes, the witch goes, too late. So
Whoa!
so there was
They took it
the
there.
Antichrist had been born or had been conceived, and so I'm fascinated to know what they were going to do with that next season. But
So happy Father's Day to you. You gave birth to a demon. Happy Father's Day.
Look who we have up
Damien.
there, guys.
I have to.
So guys, we do have Spencer via Skype.
Hi there.
Hey, mate.
So Spencer, here in studio we have our full panel, 4 hosts, and you have Craig, Ben, Adelaide as well, joining us at the moment.
Hi, Papa.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Eddie?
I'm good.
It's amazing how blue his eyes still look on like this sky. Like,
How are you guys?
Hey Spence, have you done some kind of Instagram sexy filter on that?
Oh man, there must be, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely,
how are you getting that
No, it's
lighting,
just
man?
Yeah. You spent hours setting it up.
Setting it up.
So we were just kind of talking about French court, but we can shift things more specifically to you and Henry, and that storyline. What was, I guess in terms of the resolution, Nicole, which I had predicted that she had, like, in order for this to work, she had to die. There was no other solution.
She had
I
to
had
go.
predicted it. Like,
Yeah.
you can always kill a husband. So I was like, well, why can't you kill a wife?
Yeah, there's really no other way, right? Even Catherine said that. Yeah, there's like, she was the piece that was tearing them, Henry and Charles apart. So
Well, no
she had
offense.
to go.
No offense to Anne, who is lovely and stuff, but I mean Nicole
Yes.
really she had no title or anything, so it's like
And
what's
she
She was just a spanner in the works.
She played the game
Yeah.
well, but not well.
Essentially.
There was
God
that-
bless her, but
There was that thing of someone, trying
had
to play with the big
had to
guns,
go.
and it's like you're
True.
still a kid.
What was even better is the way Catherine announces that she's dead. She's like, that poor thing.
Oh yeah.
Kind-hearted.
Zero.
Impossible.
It was the fakest sympathy I've ever heard in my life,
Yeah.
and it was probably one of my favorite scenes besides
Megan's
the furry
so
one, of course.
good with that.
Yeah.
Spencer, what was kind of like your best memory on Reign? Like what was your favorite scene to shoot, or just kind of your best memory?
Oh man, it's so cool because I feel like I got to do so many different sides of Charles, but I feel like I really liked like early season 4. That was fun, just going full like emo
Crazy
vampire.
town.
Yeah. Blood on the face. That's
which
very
was fun. But I don't know. It's great. It's honestly just like it's awesome just getting to like work with everyone from Megan to even like Toby in the early days to Addie and like everyone. It's just like a really cool to get to just like feed off of everyone and like learn
Addie's
from that, I
blowing you
guess.
kisses,
But, yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah, you've forgotten.
He knows.
You forgot two others.
He knows.
Spence, you've forgotten a couple of people there to talk about how amazing they were.
You
Did
forgot
you-
to add.
Two in particular.
Two people you forgot.
Narcisse and Gideon are a little bit jealous.
Thank you.
Yeah, there.
You know,
You're breaking hearts left and right here, man.
Okay, Charles, I have to ask. Let's just say there was a real duel, you and Henry. Who would have won? Be honest with us. Would you have taken
jeez,
him
you know,
down? You know you would
it's
have.
between the 29-year-old Australian and the scrawny Canadian.
Listen,
But
but you
I'm
had a
gonna
sword
say
in your
you-
hand. You
You
had a
know, I
sword.
got some fight, so
Yeah.
you know we'll have to bring Nick Slater in and like see what happens. I don't know.
There you go.
Let's do it.
I want speaking to that point of early on in season 4, how do you balance that? Because we've always kind of wondered the question, and you guys have sort of dealt with the supernatural realm as well. You know, to what degree do you play it as real? Perhaps like there's maybe a bit of coincidence, but because in your belief you're like, oh, this is the supernatural. You know, how do you find that balance as an actor and pick a tone?
Yeah, I guess like I never really like seriously considered the possibility that there was like something supernatural really afflicting him, but like I guess it's it's like it's CW, it's like fun, you can just kind of play for that, play for the big, and like people, it just kind of creates more like mystery, I guess, especially with that, because you don't really know what's going on with him for so long, that it's fun to just kind of like play it like what if, and like keep people guessing until you do find out eventually.
Spencer, did you ever have a conversation with the showrunner or the writers about kind of how, because obviously in history your character dies.
Yes.
Did you guys ever have that conversation of, okay, this is how we're going to do it on the show, or had that not come up yet?
So I did get a call from Laurie before we started shooting season 4, just kind of talking about how she wanted to maintain that mystery with like what's really going on with Charles, but as far as like I didn't know if they were gonna like go up until like he actually dies. I think he's only in reigns for like 14 years. So I didn't know like how long that passage of time would be, because also I think he's like 10 when he comes into power. So I was kind of just like waiting. Like I don't know if they're gonna get that part but yeah, no, I had no idea.
Spencer, I actually have a question for you. We saw a lot go kind of go on with Charles in this season, and we saw him grow a lot. What was the most challenging part of playing him?
I mean, I feel like the interesting thing about him is that even when I like look at like Twitter and stuff, like he's a very like he can be a little bit unlikable at times. He does a lot of like questionable he really creates a lot of drama. So I feel like the most fun part about him was like dancing that line between like how far can you go until it's like unredeemable. You know what I mean?
You mean Narcisse?
yeah, kind of like It's like I don't know. That I found the most fun part about playing Charles was kind of just like finding that balance of like when he goes to a part where it's like I absolutely hate this kid, and then when he can still be like, okay, yeah, he's Francis' little brother.
Okay, so Charles, imagine you can script, like from the last episode, you're in complete control. You're writing the script. You are writing Charles's life. What would you do? Like, where would your storyline go? Who would you be dating now? Would you kill off Narcisse? Would you kill off Narcisse for sleeping with your girl? Would you kill your brother? What would you do?
I don't think there's any way I
with
can
Mary?
kill off Narcisse.
No.
I feel like Charles like loves Narcisse.
Yes.
Idolizes Narcisse.
Taught you everything you know.
What would I do? Oh man, I don't know if he deserves love. He's a pretty like twisted little guy, isn't he?
Oh, I didn't say that.
Yeah, I don't know. Man, if I could write it. Oh well, I'm an awful writer. Man.
Listen, the world is your
Jeez.
oyster.
I
You
love
can
the
love
way
who
that
you
you-
love. You can
Yeah,
kill
I'll
who
say
you want to kill.
Pardon me?
I said the world's your oyster. You can love who you want to love, and you can kill whoever you want to kill.
Exactly. I mean, oh man, the possibilities are literally endless. Except for the the expiration date on him.
Spencer, I
But
do
yeah.
want to applaud you because, like, you were definitely toeing the line of, like, Joffrey status, like, where you're just like, die,
Yeah.
die, I hate you, I never want you back again. But, like,
Yes.
you never went all the way, so props to you for not,
I really wanted to. I really wanted to say like off with their heads at some point.
Oh my God, we have a poster
You know, actually, if I
outside. It
could,
says
like,
"Off with
if
your
there's-
head."
if there's
See,
one thing I could tweak in the finale, I would make myself say off with their heads.
There you go.
we
There
have
you
the
go.
perfect poster for you outside the door.
And I left it. That's on me, Spence. I forgot about it. Sorry, Mum.
Craig, since you're in the room as well, like that balance, because you're sort of the puppeteer as well for Charles throughout the whole season. You know, did you guys kind of talk about it a little bit in terms of how you guys approach it, or you know, just interaction on set? How, you know?
No, I you know, Spence is, as long as he's not mute him now. Spence is an amazing actor. Spence, you know, joined us 2 years ago or whatever, and he just gets it. And so the scenes with him are just a joy. And I think there are certain times in the show that you would have really talk about scenes. You know, Catherine and I would, Lee and I would sometimes go, how do we do this? But generally with this group of guys, we all know what world we're in. You turn up and it's a wonderful sort of tennis match. You go, okay, that's what I've got. And then they go, okay. and it's that joy of, you know, because everyone has status, everyone is powerful in this show. So it's that's what I find fascinating, is those changes in status and dynamic. And you know, he totally gets it. And I think most people on the show, that would be it. We just kind of turn up and start playing, and
Well-
you discover as we rehearse and as we shoot.
Can we, just real quick, can you guys go down the line and tell me what your favorite scene was to shoot? Do you guys remember?
Let's start with. Let's keep it to Charles. A
Charles?
Charles scene.
Okay.
We'll keep expanding upon that idea. But
Yeah.
you guys have all interacted together. So your favorite Charles scene that you guys have done
Well, with Charles.
with Charles,
I've
yes.
done one scene with Charles. and
So
that
then,
was my
therefore, by
favourite.
Your
default.
favorite scene ever.
But it was like the
Well,
best scene ever, right?
But at least I knew you guys did a scene because I was hard pressed if I had to fall on my sword in that respect.
Yeah.
I don't.
Every scene.
All of them. I'm trying to remember one specifically. Hey, Spence, we didn't really have a great deal together. I mean, there was the crossover before Francis died when you were brought back to Corp. I feel like we were in a lot of group scenes together. We didn't really have any intimate scenes, did we?
Yeah.
Here's what I enjoyed about to me with Mary and Charles. What comes is when Mary's leaving for Scotland, and Charles has that moment of "I'll always have your back."
Yeah.
Now you can kind of look at it as a false
Snaps
promise.
for Charles.
All right.
It's like,
Well,
where
we
was
had
the
it for a long time.
follow through on that,
Yeah.
buddy?
It was.
You're too busy going insane eating squirrels in the forest. Yeah,
Nicole was distracting me. Come on.
Imagine if they had gone off script and you would have been betrothed to now Charles because Francis is dead. Would
Well,
that
at one
been
point,
awkward?
Charles, you did offer.
So awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Especially being like the 18-year-old like on the set, like, hi guys. Like, oh my God, hi Addie.
living in the shadows of your older brother who she happens to love. It's kinda
like
awkward.
deeply and profoundly till death do us come back
Charles
together
is in
again.
another one of those rooms waiting for you. Playing PlayStation.
Awkward. Actually, no, he'd be playing the Game Boy that I gave him.
It's actually Addie. It wasn't a Game Boy. It was 3DS.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, but it's a Game Boy 3DS. Come
Is
on,
it okay?
still accurate. Get your console.
I love how much of a
right.
gamer girl Addie is. This is amazing.
Just like low key, don't tell anybody. And it was a Zelda Game Boy. It was a limited edition Zelda Game Boy
Getting called out right
3DS
now,
XL.
I still play it to this day. I cherish it.
Better.
So needless to say, you guys are all very close on and off set, correct? Just based on that interaction.
Yes, we are.
Spencer, before we let you go, is there any final thoughts you'd like to share with the fans?
Why do you guys hate me so much? No.
That's the cutest thing I've ever heard. You guys show him some love, damn it.
No. I just like overall like just like the whole experience was just amazing. Like I loved every moment of being on the show. It's great to get to come to work and play with all these wonderful people, and I learned just an incredible amount. So just want to thank all like the fans and everyone for their support and everything.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much again. As you can see,
Thanks a lot.
think
Thank
very
you.
highly of you.
Love you so
We
much.
love you,
Thank
Team
you.
Charles.
Spencer,
Guys.
do you have anything coming up? Anything that you want to shout out really quick that you might have coming up, or?
Okay, I just like a short film I'm in just came out. I posted it on my Twitter.
Sweet.
Nice.
Tell us.
What's the name of it?
You can't
It's
remember.
called Reflection. It's
Awesome.
by my friend Jamie. I'm a little like I'm a weird little. I'm always the weird little guy.
Amazing.
Thanks so much, Spencer.
Well, thank
Awesome.
Was that how he exited? Did he just press?
Oh, wait,
Oh,
no,
there he is. He's like, no.
That was a great exit.
That would have been
You just
perfect.
like drop
I'm always
the
the
mic and
weird
you're
little
out.
guy.
Boom.
Can you imagine if he went out and came back with blood on his face? I would have died. Like from eating the stuff in the corner.
Just red
He
lipstick.
doesn't know that he's back. This is really funny.
Well,
Spence,
thank you,
hold
thank you,
on.
Spencer.
Okay,
See you
see
later.
ya.
Bye.
See what a porn window pops up.
Yeah. Say that.
All of a sudden he does a screen share. We're like, no.
Friendtube.com. Reign
Gag
fan fiction.
What? Can I ask you guys? What was your opinion on the final episode?
Oh, it was a bit compressed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I quite enjoyed it as much as I could be, you know, crying and very
You might have had a bit of tears.
bittersweet.
haven't
I
you? Yeah,
just
a bit of
don't know
wet
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very well done considering how rushed it was. And I really appreciated that they gave that sort of ending montage a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because the rest of the episode was so compressed. Like, I did appreciate them giving that sort of like final moment some breathing space so that it could really like I feel like gave the audience as if I'm one of the editors. They gave the audience like a good amount of time to sort of just like reconnect and reinvest in like that whole her whole story and the whole fairy element. And
Because the moment you wake up and there you see
Francis.
Toby's face, Francis. I was trying to think of his character. You just go.
No big deal, just Francis.
But it's suddenly you're back in that world, and it's crazy fast. But the show is crazy fast anyway.
it's always been.
This is just extra, crack crazy fast. but I love the scene with Elizabeth and James. I think it's just stunningly
so good.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Then your execution is just so delicately, beautifully done.
And then the
And
spanky
then-
witch scene.
Well, and
I just.
They gotta give us some
so
heat at the
sexy.
end, you
the
know?
witch trilogy, but also it's kind of perfect because France this year was the Addams Family. We basically were all playing the Addams Family.
Yeah.
Da-na-na.
And I'm slightly glad that it ended with something just so fucking weird. That it's like, yeah, well, that's France. But you guys had the resolution of these two women who had this, and they were just these beautiful scenes, and then suddenly we're back with you and Francis, and it's you recall the entire season of the show, and it reminds you it's a TV show. So we get to see these two characters that we've loved on a TV show. So it sort of dismisses all of the haste is forgotten. I think in that moment. It's exquisite.
We're gonna have another guest in a moment, and this is gonna tie into that. But I want to ask you, Adelaide, what between Darnley and Mary, what ultimately, how would you describe what went wrong? Because it just obviously went wrong.
Syphilis.
Yeah, syphilis.
That'll do it.
Oh, there's Keira.
We'll bring her in one second.
Syphilis.
Hi.
Hello. So we have Sara Garcia who plays Keira, and
Hi,
this
Sara.
is why I
Hey,
had.
Sarah, how you doing, girl?
Hi.
We were just talking about. I had asked Adelaide kind of what went wrong with Darnley, and I was kind of leading into this, and because from my perspective, when Craig, you talk about it going fast, I'm trying to rack my brain and wonder like, could this have been fixed, and is it really just syphilis?
Is it really just?
I mean,
I get it,
besides.
but
How many
All
people have asked
right.
that
You're,
before?
you're saying that like him being a drunk and a whoremonger isn't a big deal either. No, it's not just the syphilis. I mean, he was a very insecure character, and Will did an amazing job of playing like the duality of Darnley so beautifully. Like he had these incredibly like vulnerable, sweet moments in which he almost seemed like a little boy, and you just wanted to take care of him and fix everything for him. And then these just incredibly selfish, like spiteful, scenes, it's just I think the main problem with Darnley was just his like deep-seated insecurity, and he was quite childlike in a lot of ways.
He had
like
a dodgy mother too.
His mother was
You could
insane.
look to the mother, I say.
You should have taken
His
her
mother
hands.
was insane.
That
Yeah.
could have been your mother-in-law, dog.
I kind of where I'm going with it is, you know, a turning point for me was when with the death of Keira, which, you know, I'm trying to, you know, was in some sense a
death
deliberate.
horse? Yeah.
It was a deliberate act in some sense, and yet, you know, he had no recollection of that, and that's when for me he really turned, and that's, you know.
So that sort of sent him over the edge. Is that what
Yeah, it's that like neither of you are perfect, and you both did, you know, and it's tough to judge who did worse things to each other.
Yeah.
Well, Keira was an accident, and that was kind of more my brother's
Was
fault
it?
than mine. I think both of them had their issues, and that Mary has a history of acting very impulsively when, you know, in the grips of anger, and Darnley was just a weak man. Even when he tried really, really hard, he would let other people make him insecure, and then he'd flip on a dime. Like, that kind of inconsistency isn't something you can build a relationship on, even in this day and age, let alone back in the 16th century, when the person you were marrying would then have full control over all of your assets and or body and physical health.
And kidnapped your child.
And then left him in the forest to die because the ghost girlfriend told him to.
Why would
Yeah,
you
I'm
tell him
sorry
to do
about
that?
Keira.
Yeah, I almost feel like this is the Mary and Keira Jerry Springer episode. I wanna shift it to-
Jerry.
but very well stated. But switching to Sara, you know how, you know, we see your character, and unfortunately from the fan perspective, you know, you're sort of, I don't know, disliked, I'll say, perhaps, just because, you know, we're trying to make Darnley and Mary work. But what was it like to be on set, work with Will, and especially kind of coming back towards the last episodes when, you know, it was a surprise to fans to see you back?
Yeah, Will was fantastic. He's so gracious and humble and talented, so it was really easy to work with him. We had a lot of fun together, and it was also a surprise to me coming back on set. I wasn't expecting it, so that was a really nice sort of...
No one expects syphilis.
No one expects it, yeah.
He didn't get it from you, did he? No, he did not get it from her.
He didn't get it from her.
Keira, did you give him the syphilis?
No,
No, it was
Give
all
it to
the
me. Put that on
prostitutes.
record.
It is. Their love was pure.
Yes, I think that's one of the interesting things about Darnley is that you do get to see that he was capable of having a real, true love, just like Mary did. It's just that, you know, life gets in the way, and the thirst for power takes over, and it changes a person. And then, you know, you inherited him. I'm sorry.
I really did.
That was one cute baby, though.
She was like, I'm out. That was a cute baby.
cute.
Honestly, it
Just
was such a gorgeous baby.
Bite his little face.
And I feel like that's what your guys' baby would look like. Isn't that kind of creepy? It would look like you both.
I mean,
You're like, I didn't think that much into it.
I
just
mean,
thought it
you
was a
did
cute
recently,
baby.
you know, were in bigger clothing. Did you give birth to the baby?
I mean, that was a real big baby. I'm not surprised she almost died in childbirth. Like,
That was a big
and
baby.
here's your 3-month-old son. So yeah, of course she died. Who knew Darnley would father such large children? He's quite tall though, so I guess it makes sense. But both of Will's kids are quite dark. So having like this sort of fair, like, tow-headed baby, I thought maybe it looks a little bit more like the baby she could have had with Francis. So I think their baby would have been a bit darker, dark hair.
Oh, Kira's she's like,
I know, right? We never got to see that baby.
I was Team Bothwell by the end. I was like, let's just get to him.
Yeah, but historically, he was a piece of shit.
Really?
He was like worse than Darnley with the Sith. Like,
How could that be?
no, like abused. No,
Maybe you're the one that gave
Maybe you've got the Sif.
But how come she never went crazy then?
Because you got Lady Sif. It's a different.
Lady.
That's not.
You were
that's
crazy
not
in love,
a
though.
thing.
You were crazy in love.
Yeah, she's
Is
been
that what we're
insane
gonna
since
call
Francis.
syphilis now? Crazy in love.
But no, Bothwell apparently, apparently their wedding, she was in like a simple yellow dress and she was miserable and he'd abducted her and then like days in she was just weeping around the castle and then from then on he was like really verbally and physically abusive and it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And and like they had a huge fight in court and she was like appealing for knives so she could end her misery. Like it descended into madness real fast. Exactly. No, I mean there wasn't. He was just like really abusive and it escalated throughout the course of their marriage. And then part of the theory is that like when she abdicated, it wasn't just or when she was dethroned, her fleeing to England wasn't just fleeing from the Protestants; it was fleeing from him.
Wow.
I did not know that. See, Adam was here and he was just so charming.
Yeah, he was just
You're
like, I'm the world's greatest.
Well, apparently he started that way. Like he really like charmed her and was really steady and like masculine and yeah, and with the dimples and the hair, the whole thing.
The pirate. Mm.
Yeah.
Don't trust the dimples.
Everybody is obsessed with his dimples. You could like hide
Does he have dimples?
Gummy bears in there.
I love how he's like,
I
"Is
like
he
how
a
you
dimple?"
haven't stared at him long enough to
He's got
notice the
massive
dimple.
hair though. It's amazing. Hair.
Yeah, he's got a very full
Not
head
as
of
good
hair.
as Rizzio's
Well-
hair, though. I just have to say.
True.
I
True.
think that should have its own show.
Its own spin-off, exactly.
Well, speaking of reality versus kind of perception, going back to you, Sarah, how much of is kind of the Keira now in Darnley's head the real Keira versus like just his sickness projecting?
That's a great question. I sort of put on this different persona of her where she was sort of more of a decision maker in her hallucinogenic version of herself. A stronger version of herself, which I think is the version, and I can't speak for Will, but I like to think that it's the version of her that could have been if she didn't encounter all of these roadblocks, and the version that was sort of coming to light right before her death. I think it's the way that he sees her, sort of in the most positive way, I think.
Right.
I feel it's the
I
version of
that's
her
his
that
version
he
of her.
needed because he never really made any of his own decisions. He always deferred to other people's decisions.
Preach.
So, as his true love, she kind of took on. This is just my take on it. Stop me if you think I'm full of shit, but like, she was the keeper of his heart.
I was also fascinated by the moment of where she put the baby down. Was that last
In the forest.
That,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
that
is that this?
was, no, that was this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Because you go, is that like a really terrible thing, like kill the baby, or is it you're drunk in charge of a vehicle, put the baby down?
Like,
So
give me your
it's
keys.
like-
Yeah.
Or is that hurting your arms? Put it down.
Yeah, I always assumed, I always thought it
That looks
was,
heavy.
you're not doing so well right now, you shouldn't be taking care of this thing. Just put him down for a while, He'll be okay.
Leave
I
him in
kind
the
of
woods.
saw it more of a like as his descent into madness. He was letting go of all the pressure and responsibility that he didn't really want, sort of represented in that child that maybe his mother
Are there
was
wolves
forcing on
in
him.
Scotland?
I was just gonna say the wolves are gonna eat
Yeah.
it.
I don't know if there are. I don't think there's any.
Maybe it was cold. Maybe they were home
Yeah, I
roasting marshmallows on a
imagine.
fire. The wolves just weren't out that night. It was just a little bitter, a little nippy,
No, but thank goodness for
just like
James.
chewing on the
You went
blanket.
to Yeah.
Sarah, do you have like a favorite moment on set before we have to let you go? Like favorite thing, your favorite memory?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was positive, but it was definitely hilarious.
Give it to us.
It was like the first day Will and I were filming together, and we had that hay scene that love scene in the hay shops.
Yes.
Always do that.
And turns out we're both allergic to hay.
Oh, I remember
yeah.
this.
Yeah, so I found out on set, I broke it out in hives, and he had he was like sneezing and coughing, It was very romantic,
Super
to
sexy.
say the least.
Lots
But
of mucus.
yeah, we were just
really hot.
we were having fun. It was professional. We do the scene. They yell cut. We jump out of the hay. We brush off the hay. Go stand by a fan. Go back in.
Oh my
it was all good.
God.
And his attitude was great, and we were just joking around about it the whole time.
Well, do you have anything coming up that you want to kind of give it a little shout out to that we can see you in, or what's coming up?
Yes, I'm actually going to be in a horror film airing on the Sci-Fi Network. So
Congratulations.
Congrats.
thank you. But definitely we'll be tweeting and Instagramming it. So stay tuned.
Where can we follow you on social media?
Yeah, pardon me?
Where can we follow you on social media?
Oh, my Twitter handle is @I'm Sara Garcia, and my Instagram handle is Sara Alicia Garcia.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah,
Yes,
for joining
thank
us.
you.
Any final words to the fans of Reign from you?
You guys are the best. I was a fan of Reign from the beginning, and then got to join in on a professional level. It was seriously a dream come true, and to just the intensity and love that the fans have for the show is unparalleled. So thank you to the fans, and thank you guys to the cast. And I mean, it was amazing.
Thank you.
I was like,
Well, thank you so
I
much.
had the best time. Thank you so much.
Thank
Of
you,
course.
Sarah.
Thank
Well,
you.
good luck in everything you're doing. We'll definitely keep following you, and hopefully see you soon in Sci-Fi. That's awesome.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you
All right.
so much.
One thing I haven't fully talked about yet is Elizabeth, and I want to sort of talk about that. I know you guys, in the last episode, you guys aren't really involved in the scene specifically, but obviously Elizabeth holds the cards, and I don't know. Do you guys want to kind of give your thoughts, and then we can kind of open up? I don't have necessarily a question, more of just let's converse.
Oh, all right. About Elizabeth. I really loved seeing Elizabeth this season. I loved seeing her dynamic with Mary, even though they were in two separate kind of worlds, I guess you could say. Just the female empowerment I was all about. As far as this episode goes, I got why she had to kind of do what she did. But
What do you mean?
No, I don't get why she killed her.
I don't get it either.
I think she was always so paranoid. We got that. Somebody was always after her crown.
Yeah.
And
As
even
with
though...
everyone in that day.
Right, exactly. And I think probably the paranoia just caught up with her. But she did say to James, we could end this, and then you could be the heir and become the one monarch that unites Scotland and England. Which, I know. I didn't want Mary to die, trust me.
I just have a question for you guys. Was that letter a real thing that happened?
It was sort of smushed together, but there was a bunch of letters that was sent, and that is the gist.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, I was like, did this really happen? Did they agree
Well,
to this?
a
What?
lot of random stuff did really happen.
Yeah. No, I know. That's why.
Crazier storylines.
Don
were
Carlos, the sex accident, the sex horse.
Yeah.
It's
Fantastic.
based on a real thing. He was shagging some chambermaid, playing on the stairs or something.
fell down the stairs.
Bashed his head, and was a bit disturbed for a while. So we were going, this is ridiculous. They're just making up silly stories, but it's.
No, the
Legit
craziest
happened.
stuff was true.
But it's crazy because you basically gave up your throne to protect your son, and ultimately he's the one that sealed your death. I understand why you wanted to bring the two nations together, and then he didn't even come see you before your execution to at least explain. How does that feel? I know it's not you, but Jerry, my son had me killed. I mean,
Kids these days.
Well,
Kids
I
those days.
really hope that I have a better relationship with my children when I eventually have them, if I can have them. It's a bit shit of him, wasn't it?
yeah.
But I don't think Mary had ever. She hadn't
Spoken.
raised him.
No,
He
exactly.
was sent away. And
Yeah, well, she was locked in
Yeah.
towers in England
Yeah.
because she fled.
He could have come and explained it though, at least. This is what's going to unite both countries.
Yeah.
You need your own Jerry
The thing
Springer.
I know. I swear.
The thing is, I feel like Mary would have understood, because her whole thing was like, Scotland first and the dream of uniting Scotland and England, you know, preferably beneath her rule, but even under her child, like, ultimately at the end of the day, she may be the one who lost her head, but she won. It was her son, it was her lineage that then continued to unite Scotland and England for the first time ever, and that lineage continued for a very long time, and it was her lineage. So Queen Elizabeth might have had, you know, the more impressive resume, but it was Mary, but it was Mary, Queen of Scots blood that survived.
And you reunited with Francis.
Yeah, and I mean, in the choice between, like, staying locked away in mouldy old castles as Elizabeth slowly stole all of her jewellery and furs from move to move, which actually happened, or going into the afterlife and being with her one and only Francis, I think she would have picked Francis.
I agree.
I think given a choice.
Did Mary get a royal death? Did she get with the sword, or was it
Oh,
with
no,
the
no,
axe?
no, no, no. They hacked her head off with an axe, and it took them
No!
4 tries to get it off. She was also dressed in red. They picked up her head, but she was wearing a wig, so her head fell out and sort of went rolling. And she had her little dog underneath her skirts, and her little dog, like, wet himself and was panicked and didn't want to leave. It was a very undignified death for a queen. Very undignified in reality.
So
And I've been forever, like, mortified. Oh my god!
Yeah. Picked up her head and it just went.
So speaking of Elizabeth versus Mary, Gideon, which one would you say was your better love story? Honestly, this is your honest opinion between
Gideon, what do you think?
Mary and Elizabeth.
Mary. I don't know. Like, I mean, she obviously had the love for Francis that was always underlying. You know, I think we discussed that when we were doing it.
We did,
It was
yeah.
it's not. It's a love of sorts, but it's not like a big
Well,
love.
every love is different.
Yeah.
Every love is different.
But then with what happened with Elizabeth, even though in reality I think Dudley was the one that was really with Elizabeth, but in our show, Rachel and I we just had a connection when we were, you know, the two characters, we just had so much fun, and I think that sort of showed. So, and because it was the last season that I shot, it just seems bigger for me at the moment. But yeah, they were both kind of equal. You know, like, they're both queens. He's done very well for himself.
Very smart answer.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I appreciated that the writers, in terms of, forgive me, I forget the daughter's name, but tying that in and being able to use that as a catalyst to enact change within Elizabeth, right? To say, like, hey, Mary's a good queen too.
Yeah, yeah.
I really appreciate that sentiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, Narcisse, why'd you have to kill off Gideon?
Yeah. But I think that was because of their love.
Kill something I love, I'll kill something you love.
Yeah, and there was a scene a few episodes before which I did laugh when I saw it because it was terrible hammy acting for me. But Gideon is talking about
and me, the two of
both
us.
of us. The great
We're
danger
just
is
talking
basically
down there,
when Ben
don't
and I are in scenes together, it's like, oh, this is dangerous because we're just starting.
Trying to one-up
Trying to
each
see
other.
how deep we can talk.
Yeah.
I talk down there like that. It just sounds like a grumbling match.
And we have this dream of getting Jonathan, who plays
John
Like-
Knox.
John
Oh,
Knox.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
Why did he
all
not
the
get
deep
killed?
all
He
the
should
way
have been
down.
killed.
Oh, he's so good.
Slash, he should have had a limp walking into
Exactly.
court because he just got.
And a
He's
slightly
a
higher
fast healer.
voice. And a smooth cheek. But,
Was he not killed in history? Like, why was he not?
no, he lived on,
Yeah.
so...
He lived for
So,
quite a while.
so basically, Narcisse story-wise, you know, his revenge plot isn't really destined to succeed spectacularly because Elizabeth lived for a hell of a long time and Knox lived for a long time. So at the beginning of the season when they're going, your revenge is coming, I'm going, can't quite see it. But because Gideon basically sealed his own fate by talking about love and discovering true love and Elizabeth and so it was as he said to Mary, it was hurting her in a way that would really hurt her, not, you know, it was destroying someone
Hurting
that
her
she
in a
loved.
way that she'd have to live with.
She'd have to
for the
live
rest of her
with
life.
and grieve over for the rest of her life. So that's why she put all the makeup on and the big frill.
So they emphasize on the show so much about, like, Francis and his love for Mary, especially in the season finale, and then your progress in love. But for me, the real storyline, like the real true love, is actually your love for Lola.
Well,
You have such a diehard love. It's so rare. You know, you had your random flings that you would have, and Mary actually fell in love with other people. you stayed loyal to Lola. I mean, she drove your madness, she drove your happiness. How much of that character was you adding to it, and how much of it was genuinely like written on script?
Well, it's Ada Popplewell is, you know, the most lovable creature in the world.
That's true.
When this started happening, it was so much fun to play, and up until that point, Narcisse had been, because on the show you probably have a continuity, but for a lot of us, we have no idea where it's going to go, and the writers are going, let's take it this way or this way. So Narcisse at that point was the villain, was the hard-ass guy, and then we started having these scenes, and I would talk to Laurie and say, is he falling? Is this love? Is this him manipulating? And she went, just, you know, play it for real. If we change it, then you were an arsehole. But
that often happens. You start as the bad guy, and Gideon started as the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then you go through that sort of transition, and then as soon as love happens, you're the good guy, and it's hard. It's interesting because you kind of came through that as well. You flash between good and bad.
Yeah, and you know, this show, everyone does terrible things.
It's a
but
human
you're forgiven if you love someone. So, but the Lola love, I think he didn't understand it. He didn't quite know how to deal with it, but he loved her in a way that he had never loved anyone. And
he was still with Catherine.
Well, no, he
It was fun with her, like an understanding. I feel like.
I could say this on television. He's got a hard on for Catherine.
Who doesn't?
Well,
That's kind of true.
It's because of who she is. It's not love. It's that she's Catherine, and he just goes, "You are
bad girl.
Catherine
I hate
the
and love
Medici.
you." Basically, you know, that it's that she's his match, or you know, maybe she's better than him.
She's not here, you can say.
Oh yeah, no, he's much better than she. Yeah.
In some sense, I wonder, because Narcisse is never sort of respected. That's what got him in trouble. He never really respected her wishes, Lola's wishes. Yeah. And I kind of often wonder, Lola wouldn't want this? I mean, right?
Say that again.
Like, Lola would never have sort of wanted you to go off and act revenge. Certainly not in this way.
No, but she, you know, he's probably the most pragmatic modernist in the show. She's gone. She's dead, and he can't change that. But he can hurt the people. He can go back to being what he does really well, and that's get in there and destroy those people. So, yeah. She's waiting in a room.
What happened to your baby?
Yeah, John.
Yeah. What happened to John?
Save John.
That's all of this question I remember at the end. I was like, wait. What about John?
We had a very convenient line going, he has Lola's eyes. I can't bear to look at him. Take him away. And
he's Francis's too.
Yeah, but after promising Lola on her axe chopping, you know, look after John. Tell him I love him every day. It's like, I'll write a postcard. There you go. Show that to John every day. I love him. But
I wish more men had your love. I wish. It's such a die-hard, like, rare love that you just don't find, especially in storylines.
He did cheat on her a lot.
Yeah.
And he did murder a few people just because
he did. And he had the whole box at the end too, which is like really creepy.
Knox in a box.
Yeah. We should have got that box, I'm telling you, Phil.
I've been getting this question so much in the chat, so I have to ask Addie. Everybody wants to know your top 3 favorite outfits you got to wear. Because, girl, you got to wear the best stuff.
I actually just answered this question on my live. There are so many. It's really hard to choose. I have to say the coronation dress, the red and gold coronation dress. Amazing. The wedding dresses were fantastic, and I mean to Darnley and Francis. They were both amazing dresses. The veil for the wedding to Darnley was so heavy. Like, I had a sore neck by the end of the day. I had to hold the veil in my arms.
Muscly neck.
Otherwise, it was going to rip my head off. And then just as a day-to-day outfit, I think back in season 1 I've posted it. It's somewhere down the feed. It's a black Alexander McQueen dress with like a gold collar and a
I know
camo.
exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that's my favorite, casual Tuesday in the castle dress.
And it's Alexander McQueen.
So, you know.
By the way, Meredith, who was our costume designer, she is working on Dynasty. The revamp.
Oh,
is she really?
Nice.
Yeah.
That's going to be fabulous.
Watch that. It's going to look a whole different world, but it's gonna be.
She's got such a great eye. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
The show was not only rich in story, but so rich visually. From the art direction to the costumes to just everybody who directed every episode and the camera movements and stuff. I mean, I loved Megan's episodes because she used so much camera movement in every freaking scene, and you could just. I was like, you're showing us all the pretties that like usually we don't get to see, but it's so wonderful.
Well, she knows, she knows those sets inside out. She knows what often we never see. These guys will arrive and have a scene, and you'll see that much, but there'll be something so incredible that you never see
on the floor, with these incredibly detailed ceilings and moldings, and then just like certain bits of kind of enameling or insert work on like a table, like. It was ridiculous. Like,
how sad were you guys when they were taking the set down? Nicole said it was the last episode when they were taking it down.
I saw some pics of it as they were.
As they were doing it, they did most of it after we left.
They tried to sell it off to for other shows and things, but I think a lot of it's just
it's so sad.
Takes the recycle down.
Did they give you was there a reason that it got canceled? Do you guys know? Like, was it just like kind of a numbers game, or was it just
numbers game? It's 4 seasons. I also think it's a show, and it's part of, speaking like an old person, that there is a younger audience who don't watch television. They watch. They watch on the interweb, they watch on their phones, they watch
Netflix or
whatever. So,
HBO Go, all of that.
So ratings, the old school, who sits down on a Friday night or a Thursday night to watch the show?
No one does that.
No one does that anymore.
I mean, it's primarily the Midwest, but people in like really big metropolitan cities, be they on the coast or be they in the middle of the country, that's not how they watch TV anymore. So the old rating system. Honestly, it's a bit archaic. It's a little bit outdated.
To have the routine of being there at that time, and
my parents still do because they just, they still can't work out the.
And Netflix gives you like all the episodes at once. You can binge watch as much as you want.
It's not an accurate representation of a show's popularity or the amount of eyeballs on a screen or on any given show. Like it's honestly not the most effective way of gauging a show's popularity or reach or audience or demographic anymore. But it's still the way things are done, because I think we're sort of in the wild west of we're undergoing a sea change and we haven't quite found our grounding yet, found our footing.
And basically, the reality of all television is it has to make money, otherwise, because it's really expensive. And our show was.
I was saying your show had to be expensive.
It has to make money, and it has to make more money than any of the pilots coming in that projected to make. Otherwise, they get your time slot.
I think this is helpful for the fans who are like, why? Like for them to kind of have somewhat of an understanding.
But it's usually a combination of factors.
You guys
That's
are amazing.
a really good run. It's a really good run. Most shows get cancelled after a year, maybe 2.
Yeah, I mean sometimes.
How many episodes in total? It was
78.
Oh my gosh.
78.
I mean, for you, Adelaide, how did it feel carried? Because you were in every single episode. Like, did you ever get a day off in like the last 4 years?
I did. The first 2 seasons, I ate, slept, and drank Reign, and did not have a life. And in those times, you feel like you reach a breaking point, and then you don't break because you can't, because you still have 10 more episodes to shoot in the winter, and you got to scrape yourself back together and show up. But the last 2 years, as the world expanded and we went French to Scottish to English court, and there were so many storylines and it became more ensemble, and the whole show didn't revolve around Mary and her universe. It just, scheduling wise, there were shoot days that just didn't involve me. They were in English court and French court, and I had nothing to do with it. So I have like a whole
days when she'd have like 2 days off, you'd be like
weeks, yeah, 2 days off. I literally, and then ending the show and coming back to LA, I'm just like, I have no idea what to do with myself. I don't know what to do with all this time, and yet somehow I'm more tired now than I ever was on the show. Ridiculous.
Because you know that scheduling. I feel like scheduling helps you not keep.
Oh, I do love a good schedule, but self-imposing schedules is not my strong suit. I'd rather just
scheduling and catering. Someone tells you where to be and then feeds you.
And then feeds you.
Picks you up, does your hair and makeup. Just all you have to do is shower yourself and go to sleep.
So
wash, put underwear on.
Even then, they could set up a shower for you if you wanted. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
No, so I have a question for you. I saw one of your recent interviews, and you were talking about. So she was talking about her friendship with Rachel and how you guys are actually best friends, which is amazing, by the way. And you had mentioned that you were bullied when you were younger, and that's why you weren't sure if, you know, you guys would get along. I know for some people it's a touchy subject, but nobody would ever look at her, you know, that you have so many fans, so like mesmerized. Like, is there a message you want to give anybody out there that may be going through that and let them know? Because I mean, look at you. Like, I would never have thought that when you were younger, you would have had any problems in school.
Funnily enough, a lot of people in the entertainment industry have a history of bullying or mental illness like anxiety, and this becomes like catharsis or a means of validation, like getting into acting or the entertainment industry. It can be very validating in that way. So anybody who's going through sort of bullying, it's really hard now, but in 10 years, none of that and none of those people will matter. They don't matter. And you just find what it is that you love, what makes it worth getting up and getting on with it every day, and you pursue that as best you can. You can channel all of your anger and frustrations into pursuing a dream, and then in 10 years, when that dream is sustaining you, none of those people will matter, and chances are good you'll be doing that thing that you love, and you'll find amazing people who just understand you along the way, and those people will still be there doing the same thing that they've always been doing.
The bullies.
Yeah, those people will still be there. And, you know, any of my sort of childhood bullies have at some point come back around and been like, yeah, we could have been a bit nicer to you. And I'm like, yeah, you could have. It's not that hard to be nice to people. It really isn't. But even if it is hard now, I know 10 years seems like a really long time, but it's not. Trust me. Find something to love, and that will feed you, and I promise you, none of it will matter. It'll just feel like a bad dream.
Honestly, my heart's beating like crazy. That was just so beautifully put. And I know it's a sensitive topic. Some people don't like to talk about it, but I can imagine how many millions of fans you have that message in itself just made a huge difference to them that might be going through struggles. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's hard to find people who understand you. Like, you know, there are 8 billion people on the planet, and maybe in your hometown there isn't someone who just like gets you and sees you and thinks that you're awesome, which is why traveling is so fantastic, and like meeting new people is so cool, and like I think most importantly, investing in people who invest in you. If you're constantly chasing someone to hang out or spend time with them and they're not reciprocating, then you don't need them, because there will be someone else who will want to hang out with you as much as you want to hang out with them, and who might not necessarily like all the same things, but who can like expand your world and you can expand theirs, and they'll love you as much as you love them. And the other people who don't reciprocate your love, you don't need them, because there are 8 billion other people that you can be friends with and who will like feed your heart and soul and inspire you to be a better person, and you'll do the same for them.
Well, off of that sentiment, in terms of, you know, a singular, it could be multiple traits. Like if there's anything for guys and girls, what would a strength you want people to kind of take away from Mary? You know, if they could kind of be gifted that strength, if you will.
I would say enough self-awareness to recognize your mistakes and your weaknesses, and the courage to work on them and fix them and try not to make the same mistakes again. And she doesn't necessarily do that all the time. But she definitely tries to take a lesson from her muck-ups and stuff-ups and move onwards and forwards. To the bad things happen and she goes, all right, there's a lesson I can learn from this. And then you got to move forward. You can't drag that all behind you with dead weight, because it'll just slow you down. But take the lesson that you can, and then just try and do better and be better. And she was always trying to be better.
Well, I don't know if this is perfect timing or the worst timing, but
yes,
we have Jonathan, who plays John Knox,
Woo!
on Skype.
My arch nemesis. Hiya.
We were just on the topic of bullying.
Yeah.
It was such a
unreasoning prejudice.
Yeah, where do you even go from?
Well, we got the chauvinist here.
Yeah.
We've kind of been joking that it's almost like an episode of Jerry Springer where we bring in people and then kind of pin them against each other through their characters. So, through the character of John Knox, I mean, number one, we also have Craig here too, who who did an outrageous act to you a couple weeks ago.
Not really. Can I not see you guys? I guess I can't see you, eh? You can just see me.
Yeah, we see you, but if you could speak
I don't get
up,
to see you guys.
Unfortunately, I guess no.
You can pull up the live stream on YouTube.
So basically, Narcisse was holding up 2 scepters that could look something
Like
inappropriate,
balls.
like that would be in a box, for example.
Yeah.
Knox in a box.
Knox and
Wait, was there anything in that box for real, or did you just kind of like make
No,
it?
there was, and they cut it.
They showed nothing in the box!
He cut it.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. No, they
There was
had-
really something in the box?
Yeah, they had painted 2 walnuts, and they looked
Okay,
right.
yeah.
There were
That's-
2
that's-
walnuts in the box.
That's hilarious.
That is not accurate.
Like grapefruits.
Maybe Narcisse skinned them. I don't know.
Oh!
You totally did.
John, I was slightly disappointed in the last episode that you hadn't altered your voice or fashioned a limp. I thought, oh, well, okay, he's recovered.
There's actually a ventriloquist behind me that was doing it. I have no voice. It's gone.
So, what was it like playing such a, I mean, from our point of view of history, an
Charmer,
evil person? Like, how did you do a ton of research? Were you able to kind of have an open mind, like, about this character, or did you judge him kind of before you went into it? What did you feel about Johnny Knox?
No, I certainly never viewed him as evil, because that would be irresponsible as me as an actor. But I mean, I'd done some research, and I was aware that this show, which I think championed these women rulers, wouldn't treat John Knox particularly kindly, and nor does he necessarily deserve it. I mean, for me, what I had to keep coming back to and reassuring myself with was that on some level he was a religious zealot of the First Order, and so, I mean, even though his misogyny was off the charts and sometimes his villainy matched that, I think it was mostly from a true conviction he had about about the place of men and women, particularly in the universe, which is controlled by God. So that was kind of like, I had to reassure myself on a regular basis about that, because otherwise you could kind of slip into something that is judging the character or being sinister in a way that isn't actually helpful for a story, which we're trying to essentially tell in a fairly truthful way.
Right. How did you become involved with the project, and did you watch the show prior?
I watched the show a bit because I had auditioned for it in various seasons, and obviously never hit it.
What other characters did you audition for?
Well, I could be wrong in this, but I'm almost certain it was down to myself and the guy who got it for is it Conde?
Conde.
Or Conde?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think I was.
Sean.
Yes, I think I was the other guy.
And
I think so, because I remember hearing it was going to be like a 6 or 7 episode part. And I was watching a play up in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and I got this sort of desperate call from my agent saying, he's sure I was going to get this. It's down to myself and one other guy, but could I send a body shot? So I had to go into the men's washroom and take a body shot of myself, sort of. And then I didn't get the part, so I don't know what that says.
Now that I think of it, I remember that they were looking to cast older initially.
Really?
With Conde. We did expect to get someone
Yeah.
in sort of in their mid-30s to early 40s.
Early 40s, yeah. And this would have been when I was probably 44 when I was auditioning for that.
I remember that, actually. That's funny.
Yeah,
When they
so,
chose Sean, we were like, oh, he's so young.
Yeah, so that was my sort of close call, and of course I'm grateful now that it didn't happen, because in many ways John Knox was a more satisfying thing to do.
And you're so good.
So
You're
good.
so good.
How much hate do you get, like, on social media? Do people just tweet you or Instagram you wanting you to die? Like, I'm just curious.
I'm not sure. I'm not great with Twitter, but I think I would call the Twitter storm of hate I receive on a regular basis. And listen, I love it.
I was gonna say that has to be such a badge of honor when fans get so angry at you, and that's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be the villain. I mean, I'm sure Craig can speak to this too. I
don't have Twitter or anything.
Wow, believe me, you get a lot.
It's always more fun playing the bad guy.
Yeah. And I mean, I was the thing about John Knox as well is in the case of Craig also has Craig and Narcisse have a great deal of sex appeal.
Don't sell yourself short.
I turned mine off for John Knox. Okay? But no, really, I mean, John Knox is not his villain, or the madness he gets up to.
I slid your trousers down.
Yeah, there's not much charm there. It was really important for me, the moment where, even though in many ways it still creeped people out, but the moment where you actually get to see him, a little bit of love in him when he realizes his wife has had an affair on him, and I thought it was really important. That was like a touchstone for me, because at least you realized he's capable of human emotion, but again, it's all through this lens of religious zealotry, and he ends up casting his wife away because
that's another story I felt like was so unfortunately was cut short, that because I was loving that storyline. I was hoping that maybe next season she'll come back, or Bash will find her doing some crazy thing in the forest, and she'll I had a feeling there was a way she was gonna come back, but
she was a wonderful actress too.
She was wonderful. She was great.
She was wonderful, and and that was a great storyline. And James, I think it was also great that James was sort of in a moral conundrum with what he was asked to do and trying to do, and our friendship, James and I, which is, it was a tenuous friendship, but it was no longer,
So speaking of that, since we have both of you guys here talking about the scene where you disagree, it's just how did you guys how do you even begin to approach it? Yeah.
Let's talk about this, guys.
We'd had one scene together beforehand, or maybe two, I think, in England, right at the beginning of the season.
That's right, yeah.
And
we had tea.
Yeah, as we tried to get lower and lower in our tone to each other.
And not tea for testicle, yeah.
But it was a strange day, but it's a CW show, so it's you can't really show, it's not going to be that graphic, but Jonathan.
Listen, these girls don't know the pain, and when I watched that, I was like, "Oh no, please!"
And just the physical pain, which Jonathan can talk about. He was actually strapped down to that table, so that was kind of fun. Going, "Hey, buddy." Hey.
Yeah. And I mean, it took forever to shoot, right? I think we.
Oh yeah, hours.
Hours of.
I was muffing the lines just to watch you struggle on the table for another hour.
Yeah, and I think for the last couple of shoots, the close-ups on my face, I actually had to lift my head off just to get the right kind of angle. I had to lift my head about 3 inches off the table. Oh. And I remember, I don't think I'd had an ab workout like that in a couple of years. And the other thing about it, one of the funny things about that scene is I hadn't read, or I didn't know what was coming up, and I saw Craig on set one day, and I said, "So are we going to get a chance to meet again?" I said, "Do you remember this, Craig?" I said,
"Yes.
Surely you're coming after my nuts." And I literally said it. It was a crude kind of. I was making a joke, and he looked at me sort of wide-eyed. He said, "Did you read it?" What are you talking about? And sure enough, he was coming for my nuts.
We're coming.
But I said it off the cuff. I had no idea. I never would have guessed that in 1,000 years that I would be neutered there on the set.
It's so funny in this scene where Reverend Knox enters into your throne and he's taking you into jail, you and Lord Bothwell. I couldn't even focus on what was happening. I was like, how is he walking? I'm not paying attention to the fact that you're going to jail, that Donnelly's dead. I'm like, how is he walking?
A lot of milk of the puppy, otherwise known as Betty Lopi.
I was walking rather like her, yeah. There's enough time. I don't know. Is there enough time to heal? Do you ever heal from that?
Yeah, what was the timeline of that?
Funny the logistics that people have about that too, But yeah.
I want to talk about that moment from your perspective real fast. In terms of Mary, how betrayed was she in that moment in terms of, this is such a, she chose to do this act of killing Darnley. And in that moment, you know, what's her headspace?
I don't think she was that surprised. I think that in making that decision, she knew, on some level, knew that she was damning herself. But that decision was less for her and her rule and more for her son, because I think her biggest fear after taking so long to conceive and then finally being able to conceive and heir not only to her bloodline but also potentially to England's, was that child's safety came first. And after Darnley's, episode of madness and abandoning the child out in the woods, he was the most dangerous element in Prince James' life. He was the most dangerous element, and I think on some level she always knew that she would never be able to rule fully as a queen in the show, because she was pretty impressed with herself in real life. But but I think that, in the show she knew that she might not live to see her son grow up, and in an attempt to make as safe a future for him as possible, it was a decision that she had to make, whether it worked out or not. And I think on some level, things never went her way. She had to have known on some level that it wouldn't work out the way she wanted it to.
Well, John, we've been asking everybody this. Do you have what's your best memory from set? Besides, obviously, your special scenes with Craig.
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, I must say that it was the best. I mean, Reign came into my life in a time that I couldn't ask for a greater gift. And in terms of, I'd been at a theater festival for a lot of years, and I stepped away for a number of reasons, some of them personal, one to spend sort of the last year of my mom's life with her. And so that show gave me such an opportunity to spend time with family, and also to be part of this extraordinary project, which is what I think it is, this kind of exciting people to history and promoting incredibly powerful women in incredibly difficult times. And so, I mean, it sounds like I'm dodging the question, but I really didn't have a day on set that I wasn't feeling incredibly blessed. It was always challenging because the material is challenging. You have to serve it up in a way that feels contemporary, but also it's as any of those cast members, and of course the cast members who you've been speaking with had a job that was 10 times what mine was, but you don't get much time to learn the material. It's very specific. It's full of names. It has to be. It's spoken. It's spoken with. You have to speak with confidence and eloquence as well. And so it was also a great challenge I found. With very little sort of prep period. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like a bit of a dodge, but really, I had many great days on set, but as a whole, just the experience itself. I guess a memory I have was. I'd taken horseback riding lessons for my one short moment of horseback riding, and that was a pretty extraordinary time. It was the episode where we burned the village, and I had to jump on a horse and ride off. And the first time, or the time that we had the actual take that I got, I jumped on the horse and somehow put the wrong foot in the stirrup and almost landed on backwards, and then somehow did almost like one of those gymnastics moves around and landed on the horse and landed on right. But I mean, it was such a miracle, and I mean, I wish in some ways John Knox had jumped up on that horse and landed on backwards.
Like Legolas style.
But I'll never quite forget that. And the entire horse crew, all those guys who are cowboys came out, and they were literally peeing themselves because they'd never seen someone. And then the look of panic on my face when I realized I was going to land on a horse backwards in the one take we had.
But did they use that take, right?
They used that take.
See? Yeah, they just show how cool you are.
Yeah, I just sneak under there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to call in today, and just being a part of the Reign for all of us fans. Like, we all love the show so much, and I'm sure everybody watching in the chat is just so honored that you have called in. And do you have anything?
My pleasure. I wish I could be there, but we I was actually supposed to be down in LA, but my wife and I are expecting our third child. So
congratulations!
Father's Day! Happy Father's Day!
Thank you. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's an incredible thing. But so of course I have to be nearby. But I do want to say, I mean, I wish I could see my fellow cast there, but I loved working with you guys. It was an honor, and I watch your work every week, and I think it's exceptional. I think it's exceptional, and I also think the fans of Reign. I hope I don't get spoiled by that experience if I ever get another series. But the fans of Reign are like, they're bomb-proof. They're amazing. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure watching you on screen, and thanks for joining us in this finale.
And congrats! It's so exciting!
Yeah, crazy. But.
Tell your wife good luck with the pregnancy and with everything.
Thanks.
So.
Good luck getting some sleep.
Thank you.
Oh, that's perfect timing the kid.
Yeah.
So it's almost about that time where we got to start wrapping up. I mean, we still have a few minutes, but I want to utilize them to the best that we have, and so I kind of want to. We've seen a lot of letters being written, whether it's Torrance, whether it's Rachel,
I got
'em. And we'll read those. But from your perspective, like, what would you love to share about the experience of Reign? What would you like to say to the fans while you have this opportunity? And we can go down.
Me?
Yeah, sure. We'll start with you, Ben.
About what the experience of Reign was for me. Well, I know we keep saying it, but the group, the cast, and the crew particularly were just amazing. Well, the fact that we're still hanging out together is kind of weird because that doesn't really happen in most shows.
Right.
And then also obviously the connection to the history of it and everything, but also just I remember just doing a scene with Addie actually, and it was just like a 30-second scene of the two of us with Agatha, and they've just decided to set it in a fair and have two camels, and a lemur, like a boa constrictor python thing, and just like 200 extras and jugglers and freaks, and just amazing. And just for us to have a little chat and just walk through, and there were like 5 cameras, and that
just because they could.
Yeah, that kind of experience is it's kind of, I'll never forget that. So that was amazing for me, and the people, and
Thank you.
I think, likewise, I, as I said, I don't have Twitter and thing, and that whole world scares me a little bit, but we did a convention in January, a first sort of Reign specific convention, and I've been traveling around Europe a lot, and keep running into people who go, Reign, and they're, watching it, and so meeting people, I guess meeting the fans that way, they're amazing. They're these people who they get. What I love is they get. We love the show, but we also get the silliness of it as well. It's fun. It's it's a soap opera in a way. And they get that, and they also in the same way when I first watched the first season, I would be loving it and it was fun, and then suddenly I would be in tears, and I would there would be a moment where you just, they love each other so much. and I love that about the show, that it's comedy and it breaks your heart, and it's love, and it's women being putting up with a lot of shit and coming out the other side, damaged but still going on, and for me, sort of joining that ridiculous world where you get to dress up and play every day and do ridiculous things in ridiculous clothes and ridiculous, beautiful sets with wonderful cast and crew. So yeah, it's. I'm very sad it's over, but it's been a great joy.
And if I may, if you will allow us to kind of answer, and then let you have the final word, is that all right?
Yeah. Do you want us to read Rachel and Torrance's
letters?
Let's. Okay, so Rachel and Torrance both wrote letters to the fans and to kind of the whole experience, and sent them in. So this is Rachel's. It has been my great pleasure and genuine honor to be a part of Reign these past seasons, and to play such an iconic, powerful, complex, and brilliant woman. May we continue to have shows that showcase women such as these. To be embraced by the cast as one of their own, brought into the CW family, and most beautifully by you, the fans, is of significance to me that it's difficult to articulate. There really are no words sometimes for experiences as beautiful as this. Just gratitude. Thanks for loving Reign as much as I do. Thank you, Rachel. That's amazing. Yes. To a wonderful portrayal of Queen Elizabeth I, which those are not easy shoes to step into, and she did it brilliantly. absolutely brilliantly. And Torrance, who's been here, and we're so honored for that. Reign holds a very special place in my heart for a number of reasons. I didn't know back in 2013 that these strangers I met, jet-lagged in Ireland, would one day become my family. Even though I left the show before the 4th season, we're all still in touch, and many even attended my wedding. The truth is, we all thought the show was a bit weird. The mixture of history and fantasy, period and modern. We didn't know as we were making it how we would all come together, or if anybody would want to watch it enough for it to get picked up. But here we are, 4 seasons later, and we are all very sad to say goodbye, which brings me to the other special thing about the show, the fans. I've worked on many shows now, and I've never come across such a passionate, kind, funny, insane group of people. You propelled us to the People's Choice Award win, you taught me all kinds of fun Brazilian slang, and you greeted me warmly as I traveled to countries all around the world. I can't tell you how much it means to make something that that will actually resonate with people. It's a rarer occurrence than many realize. A massive thank you to everyone at CW who are big champions of unknown and emerging actors. Thank you to Laurie McCarthy and Stephanie, oh my god, SenGupta? Yes, okay, for creating the show, and to Brad, oh my god, Silberling, the pilot whisperer, for setting the tone right out the gate. To the writing team for impossibly packing so much action into 4 short years, and to literally hundreds of artists and tradespeople working in pre-production, production, and post-production who get far too little credit for propping us all up and making the show look and feel amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Torrance. And you guys, what do you guys want to say?
Lena, we'll start with you since you're the newcomer to the panel.
I think on behalf of all the fans, I just want to thank you guys. You know, I've always been the hopeless romantic on the panel. And I feel like this show, whether it's historically accurate or not, we went through the journey with you. I mean, we've seen you growing up, not just as a woman, but also as an actress. And that journey, I feel like we went through it together. Like, I feel like I'm a part of Reign, you know? My crown's right here. I'm not quite on the cast. But just the love...
Season 5, you're right.
Yeah. Just the love stories were so beautiful. Your love stories were incredible. Addie's yours, and also yours. And it's just... I think on my end note, I would want to ask you to answer this at the end. Is just, I want to know how, after this Francis love story, are you in real life going to be able to have a true love?
So much pressure.
I think everybody wants to know that. Like, you have this hopeless love romance that's like the whole world saw you go through, and I want to know, is there going to struggle with that later on in life?
The beauty of being an actress is you really learn the difference between reality and fantasy.
Let's hope for Craig's sake.
Right.
I sincerely hope that one day I will find a love that is both as beautiful as Frary and better. That's both that and more.
That's a good answer.
You'll get it.
Alina?
Yeah, I'm really sad that the show is over, but I enjoyed my time with it. You guys took us on a journey from season 1 to season 4. I'm a history buff, so that's what got me into the show. And then seeing how it mixed modern with that time, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with your guys' acting. I fell in love with the fans. The fans are amazing. I have not seen fans like this really for any other show, especially of this genre. And I really enjoyed the show. I think you guys did a phenomenal job. The writers did. Everyone on that crew was just amazing. And I wish you guys all the best.
Yes. And Keetin, you and I began this journey together.
4 years ago, I think I sent an email and I said, Reign is starting and I have to be on this panel. I have to talk about this show. And I have loved every minute of it. I can't thank you guys enough for this show, because it is, I love that it's fun. Because I'm a history buff as well, and I love when I get to see these women of power portrayed and in such a modern way, and especially in the last 4 years, it's been a crazy time in politics and stuff. So to not only be able to have an escape, but an escape that is such a great representation. And you know, Mary made mistakes, but as you said, she was somebody who always acknowledged when she made mistakes. And I felt like I learned.
She killed my son.
Yeah.
Sorry for that. Sorry.
She paid very dearly.
Yeah, she did. She did. But I feel like even every cast member that's come in, you guys have all been so much fun and so gracious, and the writers who've come in and interacted with us, it's just been such a fun 4 years, and I think this is the only show at AfterBuzz that I've been able to be with from the start all the way to the finish. I feel like I'm somewhat a part of the Reign family, and I wish you guys all the very, very best, and I hope I get to see you and so much more, and hopefully maybe someday work with you guys, because I think you're all incredible. And thank you. Thank you so much for all your hard work and what you've put into this show for us meager fans. It's been such a pleasure to go on this journey with all of you. So thank you.
Usually I prepare speeches. These guys.
I know you do. He does usually prepare speeches.
But there was nothing that I could have come up with that would have prepared where we went with this. And so, I can say, number one to the fans. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect. Like, I knew fans loved you guys, but the fact that they sent us books, T-shirts they made for us, and so it's been an incredible gift to talk about the show week in week out with these guys, but then to see that the fans actually care about the show so much that they actually, took what we did and appreciate it in such a way, and then you guys sort of came on board to come and talk about it with us back even season 1, where it was the early stages of AfterBuzz, and we were kind of getting off our feet and so forth, and everyone's just always so generous, and even though we didn't get you guys until now, everyone always spoke very highly of you.
Well, you guys were in Canada, so it was so hard. So the fact that we got anybody, whenever somebody was in town, they would come, and it was just like,
But also, you have to know that you guys are amazing for us too, because you keep the dream alive. So we go off and we make stuff in sheds, and it's we want people to watch what we make in sheds, and it's guys like you who. Sit out, and you sell a show far better than any advertising or billboard campaign, because you genuinely get it. So it's we are enormously grateful to you guys.
Well, without any hyperbole, whatever you guys have in the future, let AfterBuzz be a home to you guys.
Yeah, you're always welcome.
And so, without further ado, our queen.
Oh my God, so much pressure. Just hide behind them. Reign has been, the most formative job of my career, and I started the pilot when I was 22, and I'm coming out of it, rounding into my 27th birthday, and I've changed a lot. I've grown up with Mary and with the cast and the crew, and everything just got better every year, and everyone was happier and more hardworking, and the stories got crazier, and the sets were more beautiful, and the clothes were more beautiful every year. And I couldn't have imagined being on a show with just so much love and so much care, and it's really been quite incredible. I've never experienced anything quite like it, and we're all friends now above and beyond the show ending, and it's heart-wrenching that the finale is aired and it is well and truly over now. I don't know what I'm going to do without it. It's been such a big part of my life, and the fans have been unbelievable since day one, and I feel like there's a real sense of community in the fandom, and even when they've argued amongst themselves over various ships or fan casting or whatever, they've never been cruel to one another, and they've never been cruel to us, even if there's a storyline that they don't agree with, and I have such respect and appreciation for that, having seen how other fandoms can tear themselves apart. Like, our fans are some of the most loving, loyal, sweet people I've ever seen on, the interwebs, multiverse, and wherever. And I'm so grateful for them, because they made the show, they kept us going, and they're the whole reason we made this show in the first place. Seeing their response and hearing about how certain episodes have affected people, or how the show itself has helped certain fans through really difficult times in their life. It's kind of why I wanted to be an actor in the first place. And that's beautiful. Sorry.
No worries. Very well stated.
Did you? So there's actually, I don't know if you guys heard, there's a petition to do a spin-off on Catherine. And they were tweeting us like crazy for us to announce it on the show.
That's Megan sitting at home going, give me a
I mean, Megan's amazing.
Yeah.
There's so much they could do.
Yeah.
So much
There's so much Narcisse that could be in it too.
I'm still alive. Yes.
Well, do you guys have anything coming up or anything you want to talk about before we have to say goodbye?
I'm in this really cool show that starts on Netflix on the 24th.
Don't look at us, we don't.
It's called Reign, season 4.
Oh!
Go on Netflix. I think it's the 24th, 26th to 24th. The whole season dumps.
It's like next week.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah. Well, Craig, since you have nothing, since you're right now,
nothing.
you have nothing coming up.
Full
That's
of-
okay though. We always put it in the universe. Dream role, dream director, dream actor to work with. Just throw it out there.
Look, I apart from Julianne Moore, who I just think is the greatest thing in the world.
Oh my God, isn't she so fantastic?
Oh, she's amazing. No, I really don't. I finish a job and I go wee and take a holiday, and then something new comes along, and that becomes part of your life next. So I have no idea, and I quite like.
That's such an amazing way to
Yeah,
live.
I like
so
the.
chill
I don't know.
about
It's the what is it? The Disney
mind.
show they used to have Anything Can Happen Friday. It's just living your life like that. So, yeah,
I love it.
something-
Addie, they'll be rolling out the red carpets for you. I
know.
promise.
Oh my
The
gosh.
world is your oyster. You can pick any show you want to be on.
We shall see. We shall see. I'm producing a movie called Acquainted with Jonathan Keltz and Giacomo Giannotti, who played.
Oh, you do that in
Alice First.
Toronto? Is that the one that?
Yeah, that Natty's
Natty's
written.
doing.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah. That Liza's in, and Rachel's going to be in it.
It's
I'm
my
in
next
it
job.
briefly.
Got my next job.
Are we hiring Craig? Casting calls?
I don't have that much power. But yeah, so we're producing this film, Acquainted. It's about like young people in the sort of mid to late 20s and what relationships look like at that time. It's like it's so real, it's painful. By our incredibly talented writer, Natty Zavitz, and everybody should watch it when it comes out. So we'll be shooting in July, and it's gonna be amazing.
That's awesome.
Well, you guys should come back when it's about to come out, and you can come and talk about the film. So anybody who's
I
in
will
LA,
take you up on
seriously,
that, 100%.
I got you.
Support
Yes!
independent cinema.
Yes!
We're financing it ourselves.
Film.
We're not
And female producers.
Exactly.
Yes.
We're not crowdfunding it. We're financing it through independent financiers and by ourselves. So
Ooh.
yeah,
Go you guys.
yeah. None of that GoFundMe for us. No shade.
No, too much shade.
And Ben?
Last but certain, what's going on?
Oh, what's going on? Deep unemployed. No, I'm just hanging
to
out.
LA.
I've just moved
Huge.
here.
Oh.
I've been like setting up an apartment with my wife and just moving. Moving's a job in itself. So yeah.
It certainly is.
You want to throw anything out in the universe, like dream directors,
What do you
dream
want?
jobs? What do you want?
Ah.
You got to put it out there.
I like to work with what's his name, the Kiwi director, Taika.
Oh, Taika. Waititi.
I want to work with Taika.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think he's just directed the new Thor film, but I think
Yeah.
Ah, it looks so good.
Yeah.
It's like a buddy cop film.
Yeah.
I still need to get to go see Wonder Woman. I still haven't.
Oh, you have to see it.
I know. Don't.
I'm not gonna
Yep.
say.
No,
I
one's
just please
fine.
tweet about your feelings, and when you come back, I'm gonna ask you how you felt about it. We'll come
There's a
back to
YouTube
this.
video which is like a non-spoiler reaction to Wonder Woman, and I feel like that's just gonna be me.
I cried in the first 15 minutes.
And Robin Wright. There's
Lost.
Robin Wright. Right?
Yeah.
Live to
She's
see my
wonderful.
princesses become generals.
Yes!
Yes!
I mean, we should ask Reverend Knox what he thinks about Wonder Woman.
There you go.
All right, guys. Unfortunately, it's that time where we all say goodbye. You know, I mean, it's a very sad moment, but thank you again for donating your time.
Yes, thank
it
you
really means
guys.
a lot to us. I know it means a lot to the fans. Usually we come out so strong.
I know.
It's honestly really sad, and she was so teary-eyed. It made me so sad.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
No. It's obviously it's the sentiments where we are.
Yeah.
But thank you again, as always, and you know, whatever projects you guys have, you know, as I said, we will support them. To the fans, thank you guys for joining us. I would love to say we'll see you next time, but we'll see you next time in a different reincarnation of wherever everyone's careers takes us. And I'll make a promise. I promise you, everyone here will have a wonderful career. So there's going to be stuff to follow up on.
And we wish you all the success in the world. All of us here want to see you guys everywhere on TV.
Where
All
can we follow
positivity.
you guys? On obviously you're just like a ghost.
Hashtag Craig Parker.
Hashtag Craig Parker.
You can find me in bars around Hollywood.
Great.
It's the best place to tell me what you're thinking of me.
My instant Twitter is at Adelaide Kane. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, mine's at B Geurens, and good luck spelling that.
You guys?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Lena Nori and on Twitter at Lena Nori _ and thank you guys once again.
Yeah, you guys can find me on all social media at Alina Vission, and that's Vision with 2 S's. Like, thank you so much.
And for the last time on a Reign After Show,
That's
Bill,
right.
me and you, the OGs, you guys can find me all over the interwebs at Keetin Marchi and hashtag Get Keetin on Reign. I will keep that alive because maybe somebody will pick it up sometimes. That's from 4 years ago.
And follow us here at AfterBuzz TV. Thank you once again. And one final goodbye.
Woo!
Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.